passionate about special educational needs, but particularly adults who are neurodivergent, particularly adults with autism. I think you should be commended for your passion for that campaign. We have met before to discuss it with that roundtable meeting, and I think it's important that people realise that you don't stop being neurodiverse when you become an adult. You live with it your whole life. I mean, I'm just practically dyslexic myself. I haven't suddenly, stopped having issues by being dyspraxic. I continue to live with the issues. I continue to live with those issues, and it's important that, as you've mentioned before, things like job centres. You have trained staff in job centres who have got a good understanding of all different types of neurodiversity, so they can support those individuals. Because there's some really depressing stats when it comes to the number of autistic people in work. It's really, really low, and I think it's that's not just a bad thing for those individuals, it's a bad thing for society, because I happen to think that autistic individuals, neurodiverse individuals, are some of the most creative people in our society, and actually it's good for the economy for them to be utilised, their talents to be utilised, and I think there's a lot more that needs to be done, and I commend your campaign. In terms of the town centre, what can be done to make people feel safer and more comfortable? Well, I have worked to try and get some extra funding. We got shared prosperity funding, brought in 3 new PCSOs into the town centre, dedicated specifically to town centre policing during the day. We've had some government funding for Safer Police Fund. We got, as you probably might be aware, since 2019, there's 20,000 extra police officers nationally, and in Suffolk there's about 120, 130 more than there was in 2019, and we've obviously seen some of that in Ipswich. We could always do with more, and actually if Suffolk had fair funding for policing, we would have more. But in addition to that, I think it's really important that we take a zero-tolerance approach to crime and antisocial behaviour in the town centre. And actually, it's not just Suffolk Police who've got a role here. That's a misconception. The local Labour Council, Ipswich Borough Council, have significant responsibilities when it comes to the town centre and when it comes to tackling crime and antisocial behaviour. And I don't think they take their responsibilities seriously. There's a public space protection order, for example, all over the town centre, which gives the Borough Council powers to take a zero-tolerance approach to crime and antisocial behaviour. It doesn't do that. It could do things like when you get groups of men intimidating other people, they could disperse those individuals who decide not to do that. When they're drinking alcohol on the street, they could get them to bin that alcohol, they don't. There's also, I would have a zero-tolerance approach to crime and antisocial behaviour in the town centre. I have got absolutely, time and time again, I'm talking to Ipswich residents who have lived in this town their whole life, who are shunning their own town centre because they don't feel safe and comfortable going in. They're doing their shopping elsewhere. And that is what I hear on the doorstep time and time and time again. And the Labour candidate accuses me of talking down the town for simply reflecting upon the concerns that are being raised with me by local residents who care passionately about their town, but want solutions to these problems. And they want the local Labour Council to take it seriously finally, and it won't. So that's what I do. But ultimately, what would make my life a lot easier, if I were to be elected as a Conservative MP, would be to have a Conservative Borough Council who would actually support me in some of the things I'm calling for, because it's very hard while we've still got the failing local Labour Council. But I can tell you, if you get a local Labour Council and a local Labour MP who would be in bed together, you won't get any of that stuff done.